Hey, it's Sunday night. Welcome to Steve's Place. Tonight we should have a really good show once Parker gets here, and he'll be coming on a little bit later. In the meantime, we got a few things that we need to cover, some housekeeping to do. And anyway, I'm looking to a really big year this year, now that we moved and everything. Fortunately, reminds me of one of our warriors here, which hurts in a lot of ways. Anyway, one of the things we're doing right now is we're trying to do a fundraiser. And we're doing it by selling magazines. And what we want to really push is our complete back issue compilation 2026. It includes all of the back issues of the extraordinary technology, extraordinary technology magazines. It also includes all of the extraordinary science and technology magazines. And then it also includes all the exotic research magazines from way back when. All this is really good material. I mean, like, starting with the exotic research ones. I mean, we covered like giant Tesla coils, and we're going to get more into that tonight. We covered anti-gravity machines. We covered America's spy program on it, that everyone's now talking about. And we've covered all the Insulon. Anyway, we've covered all this stuff in the past and everything, and it's still material that's good today. Physics don't really change. Our understanding of physics evolved. And that's how come it's important to see some of these back issues, because you can see the evolution of our train of thoughts, on a lot of topics, and how we started some people call like woo-woo stuff, and that has evolved, into a lot of quantum mechanic type of stuff. Our understanding of healing, for instance, and how we have entrainment of ourselves and everything. That all started with these with the Tesla movement back in the 80s and that. Before that, you never heard of water being having a memory or stuff like that. If you spoke of such a thing, you were considered a lunatic, And so I encourage you to contact us. We have a phone number there. We also have or just email me. And I get our back issue sets, the whole sets. They're $200, and I get all of them. I mean, you're talking a pile of magazines about that high, or more. You're dropping or breaking foot, So get these magazines. I mean, there's a lot of material, and when I'm stacking these, it's like, wow, I remember doing this issue, and so it's like a walk down memory lane. So, and it'll get you prepared for our conference, August 12th to 16th. If you haven't signed up for that, I know many of you haven't, now is the time to do it. Right now we have a 40% discount. I need to get signed up for the conference. It's going to be a really great conference, in Albuquerque, August 12th to 16th. Mark your calendars. Get in touch with me. Call me at the 463-1994 number, and I get pre-registered now. Now's the time to do it. So I'm working on getting the program done, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks I should have it done, which brings me back up to our next thing, our YouTube channel. Okay, if you're not a subscriber to YouTube, our YouTube channel, you should be. That's free, and whenever we put a video up, it will get, if you're a subscriber, you get notified of it. We put up 2 member videos up this week, and we'll be putting some more up. These are from 2024. So get up there and check it out, and maybe become a member. We really need memberships. $9.99 a month, for access to 1,500 plus videos. Anyway, and and so without further ado, though, let me bring Mr. Parker to the stage.
Hi.
Hello, Parker. So it's good to see you here.
Nice to
I
see you.
let me get rid of this thing here.
Okay.
Okay.
hmm
So where do you want to start? Do you have
Um. So I guess I can talk about some of the stuff that I've done and like that kind of stuff.
sure?
Um. Okay. Um. So basically, like, I'll give an introduction to myself. I guess that's the best thing I
Okay,
can
that'd
do.
be a good place to start.
So, my name is Parker. I'm known on social media as Dr. Parkenstein. On TikTok, I have 1.2 million followers. On YouTube, I have 126,000 followers. And I'm known for collecting antiques, furnished my whole apartment in pre 1930s antiques. Um, and I am known for sending wireless electricity 918.6 miles from Carrollton, Texas to Chicago, Illinois with a magnifying transmitter, one of Tesla's own designs. So that's a 3 coil system, not a 2 coil system like everybody calls Tesla coils today. The Tesla coils that we work with today that are known as Tesla coils are actually the receiver coils. They're along those lines. But basically, in a nutshell, I through doing all of this, I have learned that everything in the universe is vibrating. So like everything is vibrating electricity. So if you break it down to the molecular or atomic level, you have protons, neutrons, and electrons. It's positive and negative charges. Thus, everything is electricity. Now, if you understand resonance, you understand that everything is vibrating and everything has a resonant frequency because everything is vibration. Frequency is vibration over time, and it directly corresponds to wavelength as well. So, if you have, for instance, if you have the calm, still surface of water, the rate at which you tap it determines the wavelength. So, say for example, you tap the water really fast, the waves going out are going to be really short. So, high frequency, short wavelength. If you tap it at slower intervals, that's low frequency and you get longer wavelengths. So everything basically has a wavelength and a frequency. So the way I sent the electricity to Chicago was I built a magnifying transmitter, of course. Now, Earth, the size of Earth determines the frequency it wants to ring at electrically. You can think of this like a clapper striking a bell, but instead of a clapper striking a bell, I have the magnifying transmitter striking the Earth. And the mass of the Earth determines the frequency at which that needs to happen to send electricity efficiently through the Earth. And that's basically how I did that. And that's kind of what I'm known for, like on my TikTok and stuff. So anyway, that's my introduction. But yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
it's my understanding that you're trying to build a
Um,
magnifying transmitter.
I am building another one. I built one already, tore that down, and I'm building another one that's going to be 12 feet in diameter. So my first
Okay.
one was like 23 feet in diameter, but it was not tuned ideally, and that was the first one I had ever constructed. And so I was like working out some stuff with it.
Well, we was hoping that you'd have some pictures with you, but
I
uh,
I I have on my YouTube and my TikTok video footage of it and pictures as well.
okay.
hmm
And you have to let us know what your how to get there later.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I think the largest testicle, well, actually, testicle I've ever seen
hmm
was 1 feet. It's just slightly larger than Tesla's,
hmm
and that was built by Robert Golka, back in the day,
hmm
and he built it in this. When I saw it, his initial one they did for Air Force studies, on lightning and that
hmm
was up in Windover, Utah, where they had the Enola Gay, And the Enola Gay was the aircraft that dropped the first atomic bomb on
Mm-hmm.
Hiroshima back in 1940,
Yeah.
45. So it has a lot of things. So one of one of our people are watching, and they're asking if you are self-trained or if what are you self-taught or did you
So
get
I
some
taught
kind of degree? There you
I
go.
taught oh, okay, let's see. So I taught myself. I actually went to one semester of college and I failed history and music theory. Um in that one semester, and then the pandemic struck and I didn't really go back after that because we went to online school, and like I couldn't do that. I sat down and I was like, let me just go build a magnifying transmitter. So that's what I did. I never went back to college. So I don't really have I only have one semester of college education.
Okay.
Hmm.
So for those listeners uh, who may not be aware, could you explain the difference between a Tesla coil and a magnifying transmitter?
Sure. So a Tesla coil is a two coil system, like we consider today's Tesla coils, the things people build for sparks. That is purely built for sparks and show. A magnifying transmitter is a harmonic oscillator, basically, and it uses three coils. So the center coil would be tuned to the frequency you're going to transmit on, and then the secondary coil goes on the outside of that. The secondary coil is wound up to a fourth wavelength of the frequency you're going to be transmitting at. And then you have a primary coil that sits below that. Usually, the primary coil consists of two turns. So, for example, with my first magnifying transmitter I built, I had it tuned to 168,000 hertz or 168,000 vibrations per second. So the quarter wavelength of that is 1,464.2857 feet. So that's how many feet of wire had to be wound on the secondary coil, and the extra coil had to resonate at that frequency, which I found out later on the extra coil was all out of whack. So, but basically, the outer coils, the primary and secondary, act as basically a signal generator, and they generate a signal. Um, and then that signal is fed directly into the bottom of your center coil, which sits in the middle, your third coil, which is tuned to resonate at the frequency you want to transmit at. Now, with alternating current, it vibrates back and forth. It literally alternates. So it's vibration, just like everything in the universe. So what you do, you ground the bottom of your secondary coil to the earth, and the top of the secondary coil goes into your extra coil in the center. Once everything is in perfect tune, it starts vibrating back and forth. And so to pick up this electricity in the earth, you need what we now consider today as a Tesla coil, but it's really the two coil system, the kind that most people build for sparks. That's actually a receiver coil. It's like a radio, basically, if you will. So the magnifying transmitter is like a broadcast station, and the two coil system is like a radio to receive that station. So with the two coil system, you ground the bottom of the longer coil in it to the earth. So it's a direct connection to the magnifying transmitter through the earth. And at the right frequency, earth conducts like a perfectly polished sphere. So that's basically the difference between the two.
Okay. And
Mhm.
hopefully you'll be at the conference,
Mhm.
and I hope that you bring a bunch of equipment with you because our guys love equipment. You
I
know.
actually, on my table next to me, I have a radio transmitter I built. So I built this when I was 19 years old. I'm currently working on it, but that's it. That was one of my first so that was the first subject of one of my videos. So like when I started posting.
And when did you start posting?
So I started posting in 2020. One of my high school friends said, you should get a TikTok and post stuff. So I did, and the first video went viral. So and the first video was on this transmitter, and I broadcasted a song from the 1920s to a radio in the other room. Um, I think I remember the name of the song. It was called "Ain't You Ashamed," and it was written in 1924. But I mean, I built this thing from scratch. It wasn't a kit or anything, and I wired it. This was my first project, so the wiring's a little messy in it. But yeah,
Are you
you know, do
okay?
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we are having a lot of internet problems today for some reason. I've been having them all day, and
Yeah,
so if we happen to lose the signal, just stay there, and I'll be right back. You know, I mean, this stuff is you know kind of more of a nuisance, but
yeah.
now that was a radio set you built.
So this is a transmitter. It broadcasts to the radio. It's a low power transmitter.
Okay, and then you do you use that to feed into your Tesla coils or?
This thing I just built as a fun side project. This thing I got some old 1920s radios, and I wanted to broadcast my own 1920s music on there. So I built this thing to broadcast the 1920s music on my old radios and stuff. It's an amplitude modulation transmitter.
So you just focus on the 1920s, huh? Or
I mean, not just the 20s. I like to collect stuff from like the 1890s to the 1930s. Um, but like that's just what I like to collect. That's kind of my style.
okay,
Hmm.
well, I have a pretty impressive collection of computer stuff here, but that'd be like the 70s, and
Yeah.
the stuff I have is so old. You know, I'm thinking about opening up a, a new computer shop down here and call it Dino's. The stuff is so old. I mean, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I want to eventually, for me, I want to open a museum and a bed and breakfast and then furnish it like I want it to be in an old Victorian house, and I want to furnish it with like period antiques and everything. Like everything will be authentic, and I open it as a museum and a bed and breakfast. And the money I make from that, I can put into my electrical experiments and stuff.
yeah, we seem to have a problem getting BurnEye up here every time he comes up. He tries to come up. You know, I guess he's having his computer freeze or the internet freezes on him down there. You
Yeah,
know, and
yeah. If y'all want, I can take you on like a quick apartment tour and show all my antiques I've collected.
yeah, could you do that?
Okay, my cousin is here. He's playing my VR headset. But anyway, let me flip my camera and I'll show you my apartment. So this is the parlor, Micah. Look, that's my cousin. Anyway, this is my parlor. That's me and the painting. These are some tin tops I have of me, and that's one of my cars. Um, and then this is my kitchen area. That's the radio transmitter. That's a diamond disc player over there. That's my 1917 Hughes electric range, one of the first electric stoves. This is my 1934 General Electric monitor top refrigerator. And then back this way, I have an 1899 Kimball pump organ. And then that is my guest bed for like when guests come over. That's my bed. I have that Edison Diamond Disc player right there. A fan gave me that as well. And then that's my bathroom over there. So it's pretty much all 1930s or before in here, all the furniture. But that's basically like a quick tour.
Well, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, nice little place there. You know, a lot of good antiques. You know, um, I just moved into my new digs here, and it's huge. You know, I mean, for the first time in since 2010,
Mm-hmm.
2011, I've been able to have all my stuff to where I can actually get to and work on now. So
Uh-huh.
it's, it's starting to work out. I'm finally getting things put up and everything. I got tons of boxes and that to put up.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie's been there trying to help me for a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll be coming back later. So, but anyway, our main focus is getting ready for the conference, and I think you have a great time, and the more equipment,
Mm-hmm.
the better. I've built I built Tesla cars before,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I don't think that you can really understand electricity
Mm-hmm.
if you don't build at least one Tesla coil in your life, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of lessons to be gained, like from
Mm-hmm.
how to tune, for instance.
Yeah.
We used a wire that we could just
Mm-hmm.
uh, slide along what's it,
The
the
primary.
primary that we could do to adjust the frequency to match the your secondary.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, now you got to be very careful in doing this stuff, folks, because this stuff can be dangerous and you can kill yourself if you don't do it right. You know, and even though I myself have handled, hundreds of thousands of votes, off the top, of one of these things, uh, even Tesla wore wooden shoes. He talks about his shoes they wears and they were so high, so he wouldn't get electrocuted there. Uh, Safety is utmost importance. Um, and do you have like a little lab there that you use to work out of, or
So
that can be?
my magnifying transmitter, it's at my dad's house in Carrollton, about 2 hours away. I built it when I was 19, the first one, and I'm currently in the works of building a second one that's going to be more fine tuned. And instead of using like little tiny ground rods, which are not ideal because all the electricity would be wasted as heat. And the goal is not sparks with the magnifying transmitter, it is to send power through the earth. So I dug a 15-foot well in my dad's backyard, and I lined it with 55-gallon steel drums welded together. It took, I think, 5 of them welded together end to end to line the well. I hit groundwater at 13 feet 2 inches. And groundwater is a great conductor because of all the minerals in it. And the steel casing of the well is the ideal ground rod. It's very low impedance. So that's going to be the ground for my second magnifying transmitter I'm building, which will be more fine tuned.
And how many feet is that going to be across?
12 feet in diameter.
12 feet.
The coil, it's
Okay.
the secondary and primary. The extra coil will sit in the center, and it will be about 4 feet in diameter, maybe three, give or take.
Well, have you ever set your extra coil outside the center?
I mean, I haven't. I actually have a really cool experiment that I do sometimes. I'll take a signal generator. My friend Griffin taught me how to do this, but I'll take a signal generator. And I'll get a little coil of wire. Um, and I will take an oscilloscope and I will put a fork on one of the leads of the oscilloscope to act as a capacitance or a capacitive load. Then I will put the fork in proximity to this coil that I've wound up on a little plastic form. And then I feed the bottom of the coil with the signal generator, and I'll dial it in until on the signal generator until I get the biggest waveform on the oscilloscope. Then once I have the biggest waveform, which the signal generator only goes up to 20 volts. But once I have the biggest waveform, I take this oscilloscope away and I can light a fluorescent light bulb on that little coil powered by 20 volts.
Okay, so
Mhm.
so what do you use for capacitors?
So it depends on like which coil I'm working with. With that coil, it doesn't require capacitors. It's just the frequencies produced by the signal generator. Now with the magnifying transmitter, I in the early days, because I've thrown all this together without any funding behind me. Like, so I use what I have. That's what I've always done. Um, but in the early days with my first magnifying transmitter, I made the capacitors out of Topo Chico bottles. I would take a galvanized steel bucket and I would put salt water in there, and then I would drive nails into the lids of the Topo Chico bottles and wire all of the nails on the tops of the bottles together and immerse the sides of the bottles in that saltwater bucket. And so the tops of the bottles all wired together was one plate of the capacitor, and the steel barrel thing, the steel galvanized bucket was the other plate of the capacitor. And I would put about 32 bottles or 36 bottles in each bucket, and it would give me roughly 17 nanofarads of capacitance. That was in the early days. Then I worked my way, I saved up and I got some commercial capacitors, like the high voltage kind that can handle 45,000 volts and stuff. Um, I believe one of those was 64 nanofarads and it didn't take up a lot of space at all. But that's what I used on my first magnifying transmitter. Um, on this one I'm constructing now, I'll probably get it dialed in with saltwater capacitors, and then once I know exactly what capacitance I need, I will order commercial capacitors.
Now, those sound like the kind of capacitors that Tesla built,
Mm-hmm.
with his
Mm-hmm.
uh, he kind of describes in his patent, with the
Mm-hmm.
bottles thing,
Yeah, he used Manitou spring water bottles.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I used to live in that town. I used to live in Colorado Springs. So I had a museum that was
Mm-hmm.
about 6 blocks from where Tesla built his lab.
Mm,
You know,
and if you read his notes, you can kind of place exactly where his lab was, because he said in one article or one paragraph in his notes that he could see a train going up Pikes Peak because the night was really clear and he could see like 15 miles away a train going up Pikes Peak, which puts his lab 15 miles away from Pikes Peak.
well, we pinpointed it. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
we published in one of our back issues there.
Mm-hmm.
We have the actual map and everything, exactly where it is, and
Mm-hmm.
we base it on what Tesla wrote
Mm-hmm.
and how far he was
Mm-hmm.
from the city water main. And we have like
Mm-hmm.
all the maps from Colorado Springs and everything from
Mm-hmm.
the beginning. So yeah, we're
Mm-hmm.
able to do it and really pinpoint that down. But
Mm-hmm.
what do you use for your inductors or your
Um,
transformers?
so I have a 7,200 volt 50 kVA pole transformer, and I have ballasted that with a welder. I still need to wind a custom ballast for it, but my magnifying transmitter has its own dedicated circuit, so I can use up to 200 amps on this magnifying transmitter.
It's a lot of amperage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll be able to get some videos
Mm-hmm.
converted into MP4s, and I can show you some of the stuff that Bill Weissack did at our conference.
Oh, I read that. Didn't he publish a book, The Key to the Colorado Springs Notes? Was that him? Or he? Because I know he built a huge magnifying transmitter.
Bill Weissack.
Yeah, I did. I believe he did anyway. Or
Oh,
else, or maybe I'm thinking of a different person. Is he the guy that has the YouTube where he built a magnifying transmitter and you can see it throwing all those sparks?
I don't know, but Bill built some big ones, and he brought
Yeah.
one to our conference
Mm-hmm.
to demonstrate. Gee, back in the man, my mind's kind of going blank. As I think it was 1994
Mm-hmm.
conference, but that was it was so big and required so much power that
Mm-hmm.
we were going to have a demonstration at the Penrose Stadium,
Mm-hmm.
and we were going to actually lift a fireman
Mm-hmm.
into the arc. The arcs were like 60 to 70 feet,
Mm-hmm.
and it so required so much power. We dug a trench across the road, and the city allowed us to tap into the city main right there. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and they didn't charge us because is their people. Their people are my members, So
Yeah.
we got a lot of you know a lot of free help there,
Mhm.
which we need a lot of volunteers. If it wasn't for
Mhm.
volunteers, we would be nothing, you know.
Mhm.
And that's the whole spirit of our conference is that everything's done pretty much on a volunteer basis, and which helps keeps our costs down, which enables us to do this because, well, uh, I'm of the school that if you're out to become a billionaire on free energy, it ain't going to happen, for you. Uh, Free energy seems to happen to those who are dedicated to it, and they can. It happens, you know. Maybe it's a thought thing, maybe it's an intent thing, like dowsing, and but if you're in it just solely for the money, I see where the people they never really make it. Uh,
Yeah.
but the key is science exploration, pushing the envelope, knowing our more about our existence and that, and and hopefully it'd be great to know if we could transmit power through the ground and really get rid of all these power lines, which causes these forest fires and everything.
Mhm.
Suck up a lot of resources building the wires and everything. Um,
So my goal with the magnifying transmitter, basically, it's kind of what Tesla wanted to do. But the magnifying transmitter will transmit power through the earth wirelessly. But to feed that, I want like a hydroelectric power plant eventually to feed the magnifying transmitter, basically like Warden Cliff. And then a renewable resource is feeding this system and
well,
sending the power through the earth.
in Power's later days, he said the only really big mistake he made with regards to electricity was
Mm-hmm.
that he thought he had to put the energy there, which is what you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He said,
Mm-hmm.
but it's already there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just have to cause the earth to start vibrating at electrically. So it's basically like ringing a bell.
You have to just be able to tap into it. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's a matter of you shaking the earth, okay, so
Mm-hmm.
much as getting your device in
Mm-hmm.
tune with what's already there,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And I helped build this device called the Kipper motor, and it worked beyond all odds. The only problem is it quit working after 3 weeks. No matter which one we built, it would always end at 3 weeks. So the
Mm-hmm.
question is, what's 3 weeks all about? You know, so it's a different way of looking at things. Like is gravity a push or a pull?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I like to encourage you to continue your work there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think you have great things in store for you. You know, and it could help humanity because right now we need alternate sources of energy more than ever. You know,
I
uh,
always look at it as if we have electricity for free, that eliminates, well, it'll bring about world peace faster because people fight over resources usually, and if you have electricity for free, electricity powers everything. It powers like tools to build things, powers lights, it powers motors, powers air conditioners. It powers cars. I mean, if you have like the whole earth vibrating electrically, you can have cars with receiver coils on them, and you won't ever need to stop to refuel because it's always receiving that electricity. You could have planes that use like the counterpoise system, where the body of the plane would be the artificial ground, and since it's in proximity to the Earth, it will receive that electricity as well. Ships won't ever need to dock because they can receive that electricity as well from the Earth. So like I believe that that would bring about world peace because everybody would have what they wanted basically, so there would be nothing to fight about.
uh, I consider you an optimist. If you ever get the
Mhm,
chance, read Tesla's
mhm,
problem of increasing human energy, because
mhm,
there he lays out his whole plan for it. And a lot of the stuff it kind
mhm,
of reflects what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he was convinced
Mm-hmm.
that mankind would always want to be in a war. Always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You always have fight.
Yeah.
And his thing was to get um, machines fighting machines, like drones and
Mm-hmm.
everything. It's like the
Yeah.
automaton. And and because of that, we're seeing part of that come to fruit here in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
With drones and
Mm-hmm.
everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then AI on top of it. But AI
Mm-hmm.
scares me.
Yeah.
I don't trust AI.
He said that you will live to see man-made horrors beyond your wildest comprehension.
Yeah, I know Bernie's trying to get in here, but he's just not quite getting it. You know, but but so your next project is going to be doing. Do you have any other projects besides the magnifying transmitter?
They're not really electrical, but I'm working on a 1929 Buick. I also need to work on my other cars. I have four 1920s cars. I have a 1926 Model T Ford truck. I have a 1926 Model T Ford Touring. I have a 1928 Durant, and I have a 1929 Buick. The Durant, I need to take the engine out and bore the back two cylinders and sleeve them. Um, and then for the Model T truck, I haven't opened it yet, but I was driving it the other day, and then the engine started making a noise like it was throwing around gravel inside. So I'm gonna guess that a connecting rod cap either cracked or a connecting rod cap bolt came out. So I gotta fix that. The Model T Touring, I'm just finishing up fixing the transmission in that one. That one I've drove 165 miles one time in one day, and it took me 9 hours. 5 hours on the road, 4 hours stopped for my sanity. And then the Buick I just got last month. Um, and I am slowly fixing that up. It runs, but the carburetor needs adjustment and it needs a little work. So I'm working on that. Um, and then of course I'm working on the magnifying transmitter. And then tonight I'm gonna be working on this radio transmitter I built. I gotta solder some points in there. I haven't used it in a long time, so I'm getting it back into working condition. Um, but other than that, I don't really have any current projects going on other than that. But I do
So
have projects on the list that I want to eventually get to.
so do you have a machine shop or you
I
just
don't. I have a blacksmith friend. He lives about an hour away. His name is Shane. He makes knives and things. He's a literal blacksmith. So, but I don't have any machinist friends. So, but
so
yeah.
this you get some, but let me clue you in on something, okay? I just reading the other
Okay.
day.
Uh-huh.
You ever come out to Arizona,
Uh-huh.
okay? You go out to Yuma,
Mm-hmm.
and north of Yuma on the Indian reservation is the world's largest collection of Model Ts. You
Okay.
know, and I can't remember the name of the museum, but
Mm-hmm.
it's off the wall museum. A guy lives way out in the middle of nowhere, and just has all these old cars and trucks and everything. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
thinking, yeah, you need to go check that out.
My
'Cause
fans online tell me I need to go to is it Greenfield Village in Dearborn, Michigan?
no,
Uh
this year will be
mhm.
out by Yuma, out in the
Yeah.
middle of the.
Yeah.
If you hang on just a second, let's try to
Uh,
bring Bernie up here.
Okay.
Bernie, can you hear us? Bernie, can you hear us?
Hello, yes, it finally works. There we
Yeah.
are.
So
Yeah, I've been listening and awesome stuff. And it's good to finally see you face to face, Parker. I look forward to, hanging out at TeslaTech 2026. And your Hackasay, you know quite well, right? And Then there's also Nathan, another good friend of mine working
Mm-hmm.
on Tesla coils. So hopefully we'll be able to do some experiments while there. And do you anticipate having your magnifying transmitter up and running by August?
It should be, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I think it will be, but so I just finished. So my dad's helping me along with this one because I'm 2 hours away. But the deck that it's gonna sit on was just finished, so now it should be pretty straightforward from there. It's gonna sit on little ceramic insulators and stuff. So that's the next step, and then building the coil.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, it's a transmitter, so others can plug in and actually receive energy from it wirelessly.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be something else to do from Albuquerque if you're able
I
to get
can
it up.
build. I can build a receiver coil and bring it with me, and then I can have my dad throw the switch back at home when I'm there.
That would be pretty awesome. I would love to see, and Lord willing, it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, so a couple comments, and I seen asking if you're able to fix Steve's truck for him. It's pretty funny. But you're quite the young engineer and mechanic and everything. It's very impressive, Parker.
People are always asking me how I know how to like work on my old cars and stuff. And like I just explain it to them like I have a chalkboard in the back of my mind so I can literally break things down like to simplify them and like lay them out piece by piece and understand what each piece is supposed to do. And so then from there it's just logical. So I basically pick it apart in my mind.
That's awesome. And that's as any good inventor does, right? Is that you're
Mm-hmm.
able to visualize it and come up with it in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, like I said, it's just all logic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, Steve, if your truck isn't fixed by August, I guess we'll have to tow it to Albuquerque.
Well, we're making great strides, on that truck, luckily the air manifold looks okay. But the heads, where the intake goes in the head, that's kind of like corrupted a little bit, and corroded. So we're just gonna pack that full of sealant and hope for the best, because it's not that big, and we feel if we put a lot of sealant on it, and it should work, But luckily I didn't have to buy a new input, because just like the input, is like $400 for the upper, another $400 for the lower. I don't have that kind of money. And I'm really fortunate that we have a volunteer working on that. And it's basically for parts, at this point, but we need to have that truck running for the conference again. I'd hate to have to run another vehicle, because that's fairly cheap though, but still an expense you don't need to have.
For sure.
And,
Parker, what in your opinion or on your research, Tesla had his like mysterious powered car. What do you believe was the power source behind it, or have you looked into that?
Well, I haven't looked into it, but I bet. Okay, so I haven't looked into the car aspect, but I do know that Tesla had a radiant energy receiver, which basically you elevate a metal plate up into the air. It has to be highly insulated, and you bring that down. There's variations of connections and everything, but basically the metal plate goes up in the air, and then you have a ground connection as well. Now you can ground it through a coil with a primary and a secondary, kind of like a step down transformer, and then you have to put a make and break device somewhere in the circuit as well as a capacitor. The capacitor has to be connected between the aerial mass and the ground, which the capacitor is going to store some charge. And then once it's stored some charge, the make and break device puts a frequency to it, basically. And then you're able to get power out of it. But that's what I think he used, if that actually happened. I heard it was a Pierce arrow. That's what I've heard. I haven't seen any of Tesla's words about it or anything, but I hear that it was a Pierce arrow that he did that to. And I think it was a 1931 Pierce arrow or something like that.
Fascinating.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I've heard a couple different options on it, but I like what you're saying with that.
Yeah.
Makes
Well,
sense.
and also you get like there's a lot, I'm sure you know it, but like there's a lot of conspiracy theories about Tesla as well. But like it's like I don't believe that he had 80 trunks in a little small New Yorker hotel room, because how would 80 trunks fit in a hotel room? Like what? So there's like a
Good
lot of
call.
conspiracy theories.
What about the death ray? How about that one?
I don't know. I don't know. I've heard stuff on it. I don't know because I haven't seen the patent for it and everything. But I've heard that it's like it has a particle accelerator or something, and it involves a vacuum and stuff and plasma, and I don't know though. But I do know that he did make an earthquake machine, because I have. Let me get it really quick. Of course, it's not where I left it. I have a book that talks about like blueprints and stuff for it, and I have no idea what I did with that book. But it
Who
has
wrote the book?
plans. I don't remember. I need to find it in order to. I don't know where the heck did I put that. I do have his Colorado Springs notes here with me too, and they've been well read because the front cover fell off. I used to read that in high school in silent reading time. I don't know where I put that book. I have no idea what I did with it. I'll find it later. But it's called Nikola Tesla's Earthquake Machine with Plans and Blueprints to Build Your Own Working Model, is what the title of the book is called, I believe.
That would have been written by Baumgartner, would it? Or Del Pont?
Possibly. It has blueprints in it and everything. It's for a mechanical oscillator.
I think I used to sell that book. I've been doing.
Steve has quite the archives there. I was just there and heading back in a couple weeks, and it's well, he brings the whole library to TeslaTech conference, so I'm sure you will have quite the time going through everything that's there, and we're going to be scanning a bunch of it too. So we'll make sure to get you any digital copies of any of the treasure trove that's not so common.
Yeah, this is my copy of the Colorado Springs notes I was talking about, and you can see it's well read, but there is a picture in here where he's lighting a bulb on a receiver coil right there. And that receiver coil was grounded. You can see right there.
That's a hard cover, right?
It used to be until the cover fell off. But yes.
I got one over the shelf here, you know. And
but yeah, it documents pretty much, well, a lot of the stuff. And then this one has the beginnings of the Warden Cliff notes in it as well. And it talks about the earth and everything. And I think somewhere in here is a picture of the beginnings of the Warden Cliff Tower. I don't remember what page that was on, but it's somewhere in there. Anyway, I have to find it. But yeah.
Well, Parker, I'd like to let you know about the Hotel New Yorker. Tesla didn't have just one room. He had a living suite where he lived in, and then he had a lab suite that he worked in. And these were paid for by Westinghouse. And it was a pretty big place. I mean, I knew his cousin, his not cousin, his grand nephew there, Bill Trickle. Okay, who recently passed away a few years ago. But
Mhm.
Bill went there when he was a kid. When he
Mhm.
was like 19 years, his dad would take him there. And Turbo's dad
Mhm.
uh, is the inventor of the automatic transmission.
Mhm.
And the automatic transmission is in its most basic form a
Mhm.
glorified Tesla turbine.
Yeah.
So you see it all kind of fits together there. And and I have accounts of the Tesla car there, and I have
Mhm.
a book on it, and this motor that we built that only lasted 3 weeks
Mhm.
is what we believe that actually powered that car, and I believe that
Mhm.
Tesla was running into the same 3 week problem and didn't really get it solved, but
Mhm.
was able to sell the rights to the car to get the place in Hotel New Yorker, which at
Mhm.
that time was brand new. I mean,
Yeah.
that was brand new and had like a hospital inside everything.
Mhm.
Uh,
And they had the
so
subway tunnels underneath it too, right?
in some way, it was New York.
Mhm. And I remember, didn't they have like a power plant so big in there that it could power the New York?
I don't know about Power New York, but it did have its own power
Yeah.
supply there, its
Yeah.
own power
Mhm.
supply there.
Mhm.
Uh, and
Yep.
it had to be AC because
Yeah.
uh, DC, you can't build
Yeah.
skyscraper
It's very
with DC.
inefficient.
Well, it's not
Mhm.
only efficient, the wire would have to be so big, it would weigh
Yeah.
more than the skyscraper. To
Yeah.
get
And alternating current is 98% more efficient.
a lot more efficient, and you can get by with thin wires, real
Mhm.
thin wires.
Mhm.
So and yeah, so I'm asking you, are you still in California, Bernie?
Yes, I am. I am in Sacramento, and then I'm heading to LA either tomorrow or the day after. And from there, I will be then back to Canyon Lake there with Nathan to Old Man Builds Labs for a week or so, and then I will be heading back to Steve's place to finish this trip.
Yeah,
Yeah, I gotta reach out to Hackasay. That we're supposed to meet up with him actually while I'm down at Nathan's in next week. So hopefully that's able to happen. And if so, I'll definitely make sure to give Parker a call while we're there and see if we can get some collaboration going on.
yeah. So do you travel much, Parker?
Yes, I do. So I'm actually supposed to go to West Virginia on the 18th or the 22nd. Just kidding. Um, but sometimes I just get in the car and decide to drive like 12 hours to Tennessee. I did that one time. I don't know why I do that, but I do. Um, I've been to over half of the United States.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, now I'd be able
Amazing.
to see some New Mexico.
I've been through there to get to Colorado one time, but that was when I was like, well, first time I went to Colorado was when I was like 8. And then I went again when I was, I forgot. I don't remember, but I've been like 3 times.
Which part?
I went to Monarch, Colorado. I think that's how you say it. And I went skiing in Monarch, Colorado. And then I went to, I've been to Up Pikes Peak before. That was when I was 8. And then, where else? Where else did I go? There was a cabin I stayed at there. It was and we went and saw some of those old like abandoned mines. I went to St. Elmo's, Colorado, saw an abandoned mine there. Um, I went to the Molly Kathleen mine there. I don't remember what other parts I went to, but that's the main parts I remember. Colorado Springs and Monarch, Colorado.
Yeah, well, used to live in Colorado Springs, and I've been inside Cheyenne Mountain about half dozen times.
hmm
That's where Conrad is, and they have a huge city inside the mountain there.
hmm
Uh, it's a classified area.
Oh yeah, I did. I drove by that one time. I went to like a museum that was near there or something. It's like an indoor Wild West, basically. Like there was like the old. It's basically like an old Victorian town, but they built a whole metal building over it. I think
Huh.
that was there.
I've been to that one. Where's that one at?
I think it's near that base in the Cheyenne Mountain thing. I don't
Huh.
remember though, but
That'd be something new. Uh,
yeah,
in the last 20 or 30 years, things could change a
mhm,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They used to have a museum north of town, the Western um, Museum of Mining and Industry. They had
Hmm.
a lot of great stuff. And even if you get in their storerooms back there, they had all kinds of equipment up there, mining
That
equipment,
That
equipment.
sounds familiar. The museum I went to that had like the Wild West town, it had a bunch of Nickelodeons. Like you put the nickel in and it would play the organ and xylophone and all that stuff all in one.
I can't even imagine where they would put that at, though, in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. Well, no, it was near the Cheyenne Mountain. I don't know exactly where it was.
Sky Mountain is to the south, actually to the southwest of Colorado Springs, and
Oh.
straight west of Fort Carson. And I was stationed at Fort Carson for a couple of years. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I know that, and he used to deliver pizzas there too for a while. So I know that really a big man. But yeah,
Yeah.
times change.
I
Question.
remember when I was driving to Colorado, I remember passing an extinct volcano somewhere in New Mexico. I think it was in New Mexico. It was just
And
on the
what?
side of the road.
Yeah, that would be uh to the southeast of Raton Pass there. Yeah, yeah. So I know my
I,
geography. I drove that a lot. Before.
I'm directionally challenged. I could get lost if I turn around.
I don't believe that. I don't.
No, I am
Well,
so directionally challenged. Like if I'm driving somewhere, if my GPS were to shut off or something, I'd be dead. I would die. I'd just die.
well, we're gonna have to I guess teach you how to read the stars, right? The star map, so you can never be lost.
I would be like, oops, that was the wrong star this whole time.
Um, question, Parker, have you
Uh-huh.
ever experienced or had any orbs with when you're
Oh
dealing
my
with the high?
gosh. All the time. Like this apartment is so haunted. I kid you not, that door over there, it opens like all the time. Micah, get off the VR. Answer a question. Bruh. Yeah, it does. Bruh. Anyway, my cousin is here. But no, I have orbs and so when I first got into this apartment, I was uh I was actually, this is documented on my TikTok. I stood right there and I said, if there are any spirits here, will you open this door? And that door clicked open and swung open. I was like, so then from there, I I started ghost hunting and stuff because I like to ghost hunt now. But and every time like I have music and stuff playing in one of my videos, you will see orbs and stuff just go all around. It's insane. But I don't get the feeling that they're bad entities and stuff. I mean, they're very respectful. They only communicate when I go stunt and stuff. But it's insane, but it happens.
I had a sneaking suspicion, right?
Oh,
Because it just
110%, yeah. And then
it
like I
goes
get
hand in
things
hand.
I get things like so for instance, it's weird things too, but as confirmation, basically, like clocks will chime and stuff. There's one chiming in the back room right now, and lights here flicker too. It's insane stuff. Like you'd have to be here to like. I sound insane right now, but you'd have to be here anyway.
I feel you. I don't know.
Mhm.
It goes hand in hand with this sort of work, and it's
Yeah.
like it's the other side, and that
Mhm.
there. What about Tesla's Spirit Radio? Have you ever
I have,
made one of
I
those?
have, but the schematics I found for that were not authentic. They did not use rotating nickel coherers like Tesla describes. So I want to go back through Tesla's notes and build what he built and see or hear what he heard. But because he didn't use a 1N34A germanium diode to receive radio frequencies, he had rotating nickel coherers and things to tap it and stuff to reset it. So I want to do it authentically.
I look forward to that project for sure. Might have to stick around after the conference and try to come back and do some work with you.
That clock is chiming. But anyway, I just find that funny, like, because I
I
was
hope
just
so.
talking about that.
Right? Just
Yeah.
another confirmation.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I want to build his authentic spirit radio.
I want you to build it too.
He'll-
Well, I stay away from forces I don't understand. I put like a shield around me at all times,
yeah.
because you don't know what will happen if you open up one of those doors,
Mhm.
And I don't know if you ever heard of it's like this big building in California there. That's supposed to be a gateway to other dimensions, And if you look at not Warren Cliff, but the other part of that Montauk, you go to Montauk, and they think they had a beast come through that to a portal there. And so once you start, opening up the portals in there, you better be prepared for what comes out,
Mhm.
Well, no summoning beasts, just like the classic orb spirits that
Yeah.
right, I've had similar, that they seem to be
Yeah.
non-nefarious. They seem to be nice and like good intentions, and
Mhm.
that you gotta just have a positive intention and not summon
Yeah.
entities,
It's
but just
all
deal with what's here.
vibes. It's literally all vibes. Literally, like people say, you have good vibes. They don't realize they're talking about vibration.
Right, exactly, and
Like
vibrating on a higher level, not the lower level.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Never heard of the Beach Boys? Good vibrations.
Well, that's
Classy.
what it's all about, the good vibes, and the good vibes with the good orbs.
Mhm. I just found that picture of Warden Cliff. That was it under construction.
Yeah.
That's what it was gonna look like.
I had that picture too.
Mhm.
I
This
used
is
to have all the
go ahead.
originals when I was with the Tesla Society
Mhm.
from the museum of over in Serbia. They sent me a bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah.
They
So
this came from the Belgrade Museum, I believe. This book, which they translated it from what it was written in. So I'm like, did they miss anything while they were translating it?
parts of it was written in English, parts of it was written in the Serbian.
Yeah. So I wonder if some of it got lost in translation. Also, most people don't realize that Tesla was writing this for himself, not the public. So it's written and you have to be like Tesla to understand like that he was writing to himself.
And then what you also want is the patent wrappers. And but I knew Dr. Marinchik, who was one of the translators there. In fact, he spoke at one of my conferences. I think it was 1990, maybe. Spoke at that conference. And so anyway, we gotta call this thing to an end for now, and
we have one last question. Hold on. Kate's got a question.
I have a question for Parker.
Okay.
So I have a good friend of mine who he managed to get his car to run on water. And he said that he got it to run on water and that he can start the car and it works, but
Mhm.
when he hits the gas, he hasn't
Uh-huh.
figured out how to get that to work. Like he can't get
Um,
that to.
So I would assume it uses hydrogen and electrolysis. So I would say basically I would imagine like the hydrogen production would be more efficient at a certain frequency. And you probably need like a storage tank to store some of the hydrogen so you can get
Okay.
it to accelerate, because or else you're just going to be generating the same amount.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
his problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
So he
so
needs to store it. He
you
needs to
probably
store it.
need to store it.
Got it.
So that
Okay.
it's like a buildup of, it's kind of like you got to have more gas to go faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Mhm.
he's that's what he
Yeah.
said. That was his
hmm
issue.
hmm
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ask him that question.
Well, appreciate that, and that's something I'm be working on myself is the hydrogen electrolysis part, and it is it's about how to pressurize the hydrogen without combusting it before it gets into the combustion chambers.
Mhm.
Anyway, I want to go ahead and we'll close out here. I want to remind everyone, don't forget about our upcoming conference, August 12th to 16th in Albuquerque there. Most likely it'll be at the Crown Plaza. And then if you get a chance, get our magazine. Everything we talked about is covered to some degree in these magazines. And I like the behind this little yellow one there behind the main one at the Extraordinary Technology. That's the issue where if you see Dr. Tesla there in his apartment, that we described the whole hotel and everything. And I'm thinking we have the Kipper motor in that. That's the motor that we believe he used in his Pierce Arrow car. And if you're a reader, let me know, and maybe I can try to get you some of these magazines there, Parker.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to call that a wrap for the night, and I'll catch you all next week. And you all have a good week.